I often get asked what living in Winnipeg is like, so today I figured I would do a video for you all featuring the 5 pros of living in Winnipeg and 5 cons of living in Winnipeg. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team and RE/MAX Professionals. And if you don't already subscribe to our channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss any of our upcoming content. And if you like this video, please be sure to hit that like button. It helps us consider all the different types of content we're creating and what's working and what isn't. So without further ado, I'm going to talk to you about the 5 pros, 5 cons of living in Winnipeg. So let's start off with a pro. So pro number 1. The people. We are probably one of the most friendly populations you're going to find in all of Canada. Heck, our license plates say it. They actually say Friendly Manitoba on our license plates. What you will find here are people that are incredibly kind, considerate, and fun. And what you're also going to find is that even though our population is over 700,000, that it really does have a small town feel to it. There's also usually only 2 or 3 degrees of separation here from you and a stranger, whereas in bigger cities that here can be 6. But oftentimes somebody you know knows somebody you know here. It really is a small town atmosphere with amazing people. So con number 1, I have to talk about it because crime is definitely something that comes up for people when they are considering Winnipeg. And what I will say is, don't choose to not live in Winnipeg because of the crime alone. A lot of what you're going to see, in the headlines anyways, is that we are the murder capital of Canada because our per capita murder rates are higher than elsewhere in Canada. What I will say though is a lot of our crime here is actually non-violent, so people rummaging through cars, stealing change. But for the violent crimes like murder, assault, etc., those are often very localized, they're often gang related or domestic disputes. So it's not something you tend to need to be afraid of unless you're in certain areas of the city or you are looking for problems. Then of course there's going to be problems to be found. What a good realtor will be able to do is advise you on safe areas to live within where you will feel safe walking with your family at night. There are certain regions you're going to want to stay out of, but talk to your realtor, they can advise you on that. Pro number 2 is our diversity. I would advise that cities in Canada of similar size to that of Winnipeg are nearly as culturally, racially, or religiously diverse as what you will find in Winnipeg. I think that our diversity here has also made us an incredibly welcoming community, part of that charm and why the people are so amazing here. There really are a variety of cultures that you can experience in any neighborhood. A good example of this is one of the festivals we hold annually here called Folklorama. This festival is held every year and it totes that it's the largest, longest running multicultural festival of its kind in the world. Transportation. So let's talk about transportation here in Winnipeg. If you plan to ride the public transit system and you're coming from a larger city, you might be disappointed in the options here, to be honest. If you're coming from a smaller town, then it might seem like we have an abundance of bus routes because they do go quite late into the morning hours. But if you're coming from a larger city, you're going to find that the times for bus options are a little more limited and the routes maybe aren't as ideal for you or your situation. The majority of people living in Manitoba do own vehicles and there's a reason for that. Just because our public transit system would not be on the same level as say that of Toronto or Vancouver or somewhere like that. I will say though that our rapid transit system has been making major improvements over the last few years, with major improvements along Pembina that have really sped up the commute to downtown or to the southern or northern parts of the city. Pro number 3, dining. So I talked about the diversity we have here, and part of having that very diverse cultural background here is that we have some amazing dining options here. Whether you want Indian food or you want to do some dim sum or you want Italian, there are authentic restaurants that you can visit on almost every corner. I think we have a very high proportion of restaurants to residents, so there's always something to explore. I've lived here for 20 years now and I still am finding new and exciting restaurants to enjoy and just have a completely new experience at. Con number 3, I have to talk about it, it's happening now. Construction. So there's a joke in Winnipeg, and I'm sure in many other northern climates, that there are 2 seasons in Winnipeg. One is called winter, the other is called construction, and it's true. We have very long winters here and short summers, so when it's warm enough to start digging up the roads, you're going to find that a large amount of construction begins to happen. It's not uncommon for construction to be in all different directions and areas of the city, to have to merge into smaller lanes, to have to take detours in those summer months. Very common. So just plan that into your commute. A lot of the problem too in Manitoba is just the extremes that we experience from heat to cold. So if you've ever heard about a Manitoba or Winnipeg pothole, there's a reason for it. We get a ton of freezing cold temperatures and then warm spells too, sometimes in the winter, and all that water gets into those joints in the concrete and it expands and contracts with that heat and cold, and it can really bust up our roadways. So the construction, while it might seem excessive, is actually very necessary here to maintain our roads, and hopefully so that you don't lose a wheel of your tire as you're driving through the Winnipeg streets. Pro number 4, the cost of living in Manitoba. We are well below the cost of living in other similar sized cities within Canada. So I think the average home price within Canada right now is hovering around $700,000. In Winnipeg, your average home price hovers around the mid 300s. So really we're talking about half the price of homes just to purchase one here already. So your initial purchase price as well as mortgage payments will typically be lower here than it would be in other Canadian cities. Another thing that keeps our costs down here is that we are a huge hydroelectric exporter of power. We have Manitoba Hydro, which is a major power exporter through their dams from more northern Manitoba. And what you're going to find is a lot of that power is being exported to provinces like Ontario or even the States. But as a result that we are so close to the source and it is power coming from within Manitoba, our kilowatt hours in terms of expenses are about a third of that of Ontario. What you will find is that people will actually elect for an electric furnace here over a natural gas furnace just because they tend to last longer, but because the expense between running electric versus gas is not that significant. I know that probably sounds crazy to those people that are coming from Ontario and pay 3 times the kilowatt hours that we do here. But yeah, our actual utility costs, even with having to keep your home warm in some colder temperatures, tend to be less than throughout the rest of Canada. Winnipeggers also tend to be known as frugal folk too. So whether it be cost of entertainment, to go to a hockey game, say, or the cost to dine out, etc., I would say that you're going to find that our prices here are low compared to other similar sized cities in Canada. Also worth noting is Winnipeggers love a bargain, so there's a lot of secondhand stores here as well as garage sales. There are major community garage sales that are organized every year and they are quite popular. Ask anybody in Winnipeg in the summer where the best garage sales will be and I bet you they could tell you. Con number 4, mosquitoes. So Winnipeg is beautifully laid out. There's a ton of beautiful lakes and rivers and streams and ponds here that you can enjoy. But with those standing bodies of water come mosquitoes. So a lot of the time in the summers, it can get bad enough that the city will start sending out their fogging trucks. Not to all neighborhoods, there are some neighborhoods that they don't fog in, but just to keep those mosquito counts low. They have a way of trapping them just to see what the mosquito counts are at, and then if it gets to a certain threshold, they'll often spray those areas. There's also things as a homeowner you can do to reduce the amount of mosquitoes within your yard. Even just having citronella candles or removing standing water are 2 major things that can really eliminate those pests. Or if it's a really dry summer like the summer we had in 2021, I would say I maybe only saw 4 or 5 mosquitoes that whole summer. It actually wasn't bad at all. But in a typical summer, there are more mosquitoes here than I would say an average Canadian city. Pro number 5 would be our sports systems here. So whether you play yourself recreationally or you want to check out a professional sports teams, we have all kinds of options. There's a ton of recreation facilities. Watch some of our Want to Be Our Neighbor footage and you'll see that within every community I think we've covered, there's probably been some kind of recreation facility within there. If you're wanting to take in a game, we have great options there too. So we have the Winnipeg Jets, which have been in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the last few years, I believe. Or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, which are having an outstanding season at the time of filming and won the 2019 Grey Cup. There was no Grey Cup in 2020, so they are currently the reigning champions. Or we now have FC Valor, which is a football club if you want to watch a professional soccer game. Or there's also the Winnipeg Gold Eyes, which is a great and affordable option if you are wanting to catch a baseball game with your family. I think I've gotten tickets for a game there that were outstanding for like $9 a seat before. It really is incredibly affordable and there are great options if you're wanting to catch some of those teams. Keep in mind too, there's also the Manitoba Moose, which is a professional AHL team. If you're wanting to keep the expenses down, if you're taking a whole family out to watch a game, they play at the same center as the Winnipeg Jets at the Canada Life Center. That's some pretty spectacular hockey, and they've been having a good run as well. There are great options here for you to check out. Con 5, downtown living. So if you are coming from a major city, say like Toronto, where you enjoy living downtown and you want to be in the hubbub of all the activity and excitement that downtown vibes feel, unfortunately you're not at this time going to get that in Winnipeg. There are some luxury living options downtown, like the glass house condos, which I'll link a video to. What you're going to find is that in general, the Winnipeg downtown at this time is considered a slum. That doesn't mean that that's not changing. Winnipeg has really been working hard through the Chamber of Commerce and programs and initiatives with the city and province to revitalize that downtown. So you're seeing construction of luxury condos like the Glass House Skylofts. You're seeing the development of Waterfront Drive down by the Goldeyes Stadium. You're seeing the huge towers at True North Square. All of these initiatives are just being developed to try and get some activities and entertainment and more population density down into the downtown core so that it does have that lively and vibrant feel to it like they do in other major cities. I think we're still a few years out, but it doesn't mean that we won't get there. Okay, just because I couldn't get to everything within 5 pros and cons, I'm gonna add 2 bonus ones. So 1 more pro and 1 more con. So the last pro I have for you is really the traffic here. So if you are coming from a larger city and you are frustrated with those commutes, you're going to be pleasantly surprised in Winnipeg. What I find is I can get from one end of the city to another almost in 30 to 40 minutes, regardless of traffic, direction, etc. In like a heavy traffic jam, maybe an hour, but you're not usually seeing commute times longer than that. Also, if you drive anywhere from the city center an hour, you're almost always going to be hitting rural property or beaches by that point. It really isn't a far commute to get to any side of the city or even outside of the city here. It's a nice short commute. And con number 6, I have to go into it because it's probably the #1 question we get asked about what it's like living in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and it has to do with our climate. So, yes, it gets cold here. It gets very cold here from around November to, I would say, March every year. It can feel like winter. We've had some more mild winters of late, but it's not uncommon for there to be a lot of sub-zero temperatures in those months. When I did a quick Google search, I think it showed that our average winter temperature here hovers around -20 degrees Celsius. Months like late December to January, it's not uncommon to hear of temperatures that are hitting that -30 to -40 degree temperature. Now, one major shock that I found when I moved to Winnipeg was actually wind chill. I came from northwestern Ontario, which is only 2 hours to the east of Winnipeg, and I thought I knew what Winnipeg temperatures were like. But in Manitoba, the saying is, you can see your dog running away for miles. And it's true, we are flat prairie lands, and with that come huge wind gusts. So a lot of the time what you'll hear is a -30 temperature, but then it actually feels like -50. It is on those cold and biting days that you don't want to be outside for more than 2 or 3 minutes at a time. But I will say, not every day is like that. It's uncommon for there to be an extended period of time where you're seeing -30 temperatures, like maybe a week in this past winter at least, maybe 2. But a lot of the time there are some milder winter temperatures, and what I honestly would advise you to do if you're moving to Manitoba or Winnipeg is to just embrace that cold, get proper winter gear, and find activities. Like, we have great options to get outside in the winter months on those more mild winter days, whether it be go down to the Forks to skate on a rink, have a little hockey game, do some cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. There's really great options to get outside and to not just suffer through the cold, but actually enjoy it and embrace it. And while I say that our winters can be long and cold and brutal, what I will say is we have some of the most beautiful summers. If you like those mid-25s to low 30 type temperatures where it's comfortable to be outside, but you're not dying of heat, that's our summers here. We have long stints of just beautiful weather in June, July, August, September too sometimes, where we can just really enjoy the outdoors. It really is beautiful. So that's it for my list. Let me know if you feel there's anything I missed in the comment section below, but I'm trying to cover what I feel were the biggest pros and cons. So that's 6 pros, 6 cons for you of living in Winnipeg, Manitoba. As always, if you found value in this video, please feel free to hit that like button below and be sure to subscribe to our channel so you see any of our upcoming films. Again, my name is Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team and RE/MAX Professionals. And if you are looking to buy or sell in Winnipeg, please feel free to hit up me or my team. I'll put my number in the comments section below, but you can also reach me at 204-797-7945. Call or text friendly, whatever works for you. Thanks for watching today, guys.